Welcome to Shooting the Shit. I'm Luke Bonner. Today's guest is best-selling author and Democratic presidential hopeful, Marianne Williamson. Son of a bitch. Welcome, Marianne Williamson. Welcome to paradise or hell, I don't know.
No, this is paradise in many ways.
Yeah,
actually.
thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come shoot the shit with me, essentially.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm just curious, like, what are on a personal level, what are some of like your hobbies and what things are you into kind of doing every day?
One thing that's kind of ironic is that I used to come into my house at night or my apartment, and I would turn on TV, and one of the ways I would relax is by turning on the news. But now that I kind of know what the game is, I find that the least relaxing thing to do. So I have to find new things. But I meditate, I do yoga, I love music, I love who I love, I read.
How did you get into writing? Writing that first book, what was that like?
I was giving talks, and somebody told me, a few people would say to me, you should write a book based on your talks. And I remember I had this answer because everybody kept saying it. Everybody tells me I should write a book, but I don't feel pregnant with a book. And then somebody told me, well, I was making at that time, you're probably too young to remember this, but we used to have cassette tapes. And I said, I don't know how to get what I talk about onto a page. And a man said to me one day, a writer said, well, let's just agree that there's somebody out there who can help you take what's in those talks and put it onto a page. And 1 week later, I met a man who was a literary agent in New York, and wrote the book, and Oprah Winfrey liked it. And
Who's that?
I know this woman.
Your career, basically, you've been able to inspire like millions of people, right?
Yeah, thank you.
So how do you draw upon, what are like the key pieces of your background that you draw upon that you think have been able to set you apart from the rest of the field in terms of like campaigning and running for office?
What I have done, and I have a lot of respect, first of all, I have a lot of respect for all the people who are running. I'm not running against anyone, I'm running with. This is not about them. I have a lot of respect for political expertise, but we're living at a different time. We need a political visionary more than we need a political mechanic right now. Now, I've had a 35-year career living very up close and personal with people in their lives and in their crises. And I've seen over the last 15 years particularly, how much crisis millions and millions of Americans are living in, the average American even, crises that in the richest country of the world people shouldn't be experiencing. I've seen how squeezed economically people are, who have done everything right, who've gone to school, who are doing the right thing and still have these hundreds of thousands of dollars of college loans. I've seen the tension and the anxiety and the economic fear that people live in, that they don't know what's going to happen if they get sick, or if one of their children gets sick, or how they're going to send their kids to college, or how they're going to get out from under these college loans. This constricts people emotionally and psychologically. So I have a lot of, I think, insight into the damage that bad public policy does, and it's given me insight into the ways that public policy has to change.
Off the glass.
I'm like really tempted to try, but I'm not going to do it.
What's your ultimate goal, beyond winning? Like, forget that. Like, if there's kind of like a bigger picture goal, what is that?
We need to end one chapter of American history and start another one. It's been an aberrational chapter. For 40 years, we have been transferring massive amounts of wealth into the hands of a very few people. We did not have this wealth inequality at all back even in the 70s. We are now at a point where 1% of all Americans own more wealth than the bottom 90%. These were specific policies that created this, and we need specific policies that change it. We need a massive infusion of wealth into the hands of the average American. We need to get the money out of politics. We need a Department of Children and Youth because we have unbelievable challenges and vulnerabilities in the lives of millions of American children. We need to deal with race on a much deeper, much more real level and pay some reparations and take reparative measures regarding Blacks and Native Americans so that we can just end this underlying turbulence that we just take like a toxic baton and pass generation to generation. We need a World War II level mass mobilization in order to reverse climate change. And we should have a Department of Peace, not just a Department of Military. We should have a peace academy, not just a military academy. Because you can't just take medicine, you have to cultivate health, and you can't just be endlessly prepared for war, even though you must be. You also must cultivate peace. I believe the American people are ready for all of those things that I just said. Our government and that entire system is stuck in a 20th century perspective, and we've got to look at the world different. We've got to look at causes, not just symptoms. We've got to talk about the things that we're not talking about. We've got to recognize the things that need to change. America needs to take an honest look at itself. And we have to admit where we're not who we say we are. We need to be willing to change. We need to be willing to atone for some things, to make amends for some things, rise up in our generation the way others have, and change this country and put it back on track. Okay, now you guys all leave the room, and I'm going to just be with him, and I'm going to see what I can do.
Okay.
Okay, just
Everyone
you
leave.
and me.
Everyone leave.
Everybody leave.
She made it! I've got a secret for you. I got a secret for you.
Yeah. No, leave. What's on? Seriously?
I don't know.
Was it off?